everybody, welcome back to the Cupcake Jemma channel and to the Crumbs and Doilies kitchen here in London, where Sam and I are filming this on possibly the hottest day of the year so far, which is not ideal baking weather, but it's okay. I have got a recipe for you guys which is pretty simple. It's a one-tin wonder and it is for a cheesecake brownie. So we're going to put it all into the oven at once. There's not too much faffing around. We're going to cool it down in the fridge. So we're going to eat it when it's cold, which is kind of better than eating hot in this weather. I don't know. Anyway, it's delicious. It's one of my favorite brownies ever. So the first thing we need to do is talk about our tin. Now, if you have got a tin that has got a loose bottom like this, then lucky you, because that makes it a lot easier to get this kind of cake out of your tin. But if not, what you need to do is, when you're lining it with greaseproof, which we're going to do anyway, is make sure that your greaseproof is nice and long, so it's going to cover the bottom and the sides of your tin, which means when we come to take it out, we can pull it out like this, and it's just going to make it so much easier. So grab yourself some cake spray or a bit of oil and butter and liberally spray the tin like so, just to make sure that your paper's going to stick down. And I actually like to do 2 long pieces. I mean, you could just cut a short piece here and a short piece here, but just to make sure it's nice and easy to get out at the other end, I like to do the double long bit. I hope that makes sense. Right, so once your tin is lined, we can get on with making the brownie part of our cheesecake brownie. So let's put those to one side. And first of all, what we need to do is melt together some chocolate and some butter. Now, as usual, I'll give you a few size options in the description box below, so I won't give you any quantities as we go, because I'm doing a large one. I'm doing a 10-inch brownie. So even quantities of butter, which is unsalted as usual, and dark chocolate. I always like to use as dark as you can. Go with a 70% if you can find one, because it just is really lovely and intense in this brownie. So I'm just going to pop over to the microwave, melt this down 30 seconds at a time until it's all come together as one lovely chocolate buttery liquid. Now you need to try and resist the urge to grab a straw and slurp this up, because it just smells so good. We're just going to leave it to the side just to cool down a little bit. It doesn't need to be cold, but we'll just let it cool a tinsy bit whilst we get on with whisking up some sugar and some eggs. So caster sugar going in there. If you've only got granulated sugar, that's absolutely fine. And now we're also going to add 3 eggs. So as usual, cracking them into a separate bowl so that we don't get any shell into our mixture. And we're going to pop those in with our sugar. And as you can see, I've got my balloon whisk on my stand mixer, but you can do this with a hand whisk as well. And we're going to turn the speed up nice and high and get it whipping. Okay, look how fluffy this is. So we mix this for about 3 to 4 minutes, and you can see it's gone very, very pale in color, and it's frothy and it's thick and it looks awesome. And this is really, really important. Do not skip that stage out. Just spend a little time. Don't be too impatient. Let it get to this stage. It's going to really help with that delicious gooey texture of your brownie. So now we're going to grab back our melted chocolate and butter, and we're going to pour all of this in. And first of all, we're going to mix that on a low speed just to combine it. And now we're going to add some dry ingredients. So we've got some plain flour going in, along with some cocoa powder. A lot of recipes don't add cocoa powder, they just stick with the melted chocolate, but this really intensifies the chocolatiness, and it also brings out a fudgy texture as well. So cocoa powder going in the top there. Finally, some baking powder, just about ½ teaspoon of that, just to give it a little bit of lift in there. We don't want it to be too cakey, but just a bit of air is nice. And then half a teaspoon of salt as usual to bring out our lovely chocolatey flavors. And then back on with the mixer on a low speed until it's fully combined. Now we can stop the mixer, and the chances are you've probably got a little bit of flour stuck in the whisk there or around the sides of the bowl. That is a-okay. So what we're going to do is just, before we take it out, just give it a little scrape around just to make sure we haven't left any bits out. And now we're going to put it into our tin, but we're going to save back a nice healthy spoonful, because this is what we're going to use to do our swirly whirlies on top of the cheesecake. And the rest of it can go into your tin. And you can see it's so thick and gooey and delicious. And next you need to grab yourself an offset palette knife like so. If you don't have one, then just use the back of your spatula or a spoon, and we're going to level it out. And now we're not going to bake this just yet. We're actually going to get on with making the cheesecake layer, because like I said, they're going to all go into the oven at once, but we're going to need back our mixer and our whisk. So just give me a second and I'll get cleaned up, and then we can get cheesecaking. And now it is cheesecake time, and it's a very, very simple recipe. It's gonna go all into this bowl. So starting with loads of cream cheese, which is obviously the main ingredient for a cheesecake. Now, I always like to use it at room temperature, so just take it out of the fridge like half an hour or so before you're gonna use it. And then we're gonna add in some caster sugar. Next up, we've got 2 large free-range eggs. And they're gonna go straight in the bowl. And finally, some vanilla. You don't need to do this, or do you know what? You could put in some lemon zest or something if you wanted a little bit more tang in there. But I'm gonna go with a half teaspoon of this lovely vanilla, which is the exact vanilla that we use here in the bakery and at Soho. And you can get yourself some of this over at CupcakeJemma.com. And we're gonna pop that onto the mixer, and we're gonna whip it up with the balloon whisk again for about 4 to 5 minutes. And it's gonna start by going very liquidy, but then it's going to thicken, and that's what we want. I'll show you when we get there. Look at it. If you know anything about me, you'll know that cheesecake is my all-time favorite thing in the entire world. I could dive in there right now, but I won't. Right, so what we do is put all of this on top of our brownie and spread it out. And now all that's left to do is put the brownie swirls through it. So we need to put our brownie mixture that we saved back on top of this, but as you can see, it's very thick and very stiff, and that's going to be really hard to swirl through the lovely soft cheesecake. So here is my top tip. Get yourself some hot water, boiled water, and just put a little spoonful at a time into your brownie batter and stir it through, and that's just going to kind of liquefy. I don't know what that word is. Make it easier to swirl through the cheesecake. Loosen it up. Thanks, Rosie. And once you've mixed it all through, it'll be a lot looser, like so. Very similar to the texture of the cheesecake, which means it'll swirl together very easily. So what we're gonna do is put some blobs on top of the cheesecake. And And now for swirling, you want to use something like a skewer, like so, something kind of thin and pointy is perfect. And we're going to swirl the two together. And it looks so pretty and it's so easy. This is one of those things that you think like, how do people do that? But it is that simple, guys. So now off to the oven. It's preheated at 170 degrees C, that's with a fan. And we're gonna put it in for about 30 to 35 minutes. So to test that it's done, it's gonna look a little bit jiggly. That is fine, it's a cheesecake, that's what they do. But you wanna insert the skewer, and if it comes out with a little bit of brownie batter on it, perfect. If it's got a little bit too much batter and a bit of cheesecake on there as well, put it in for another minute at a time until it's baked all the way through. Okay guys, so once your brownie is out of the oven, you then need to cool it down completely. So leave it out for about half an hour, and then you can put it into the fridge to set and cool completely, and you can also leave it in the fridge to store it as well. And it looks amazing, and I can't wait to eat it. I've made a huge one for no reason other than for the fact that I really like it. So let me cut it inside and we'll have a look. Look how good it is. You can see that fudgy brownie topped with a really fluffy, perfectly baked cheesecake. And I've just got myself a fork because, like I said, it's all mine. It is absolutely delicious, and the two textures are really great together because you get a bit of a bite from the brownie and then the melty fluffiness from the cheesecake, and it's got that tang and the intensity from the chocolate. This is a winning combination, guys. It is, I mean, I don't really know what else to say because all I want to do is eat it right now. But alas, carry on with the video. So please have a go at this. Let us know, as usual, how you get on over on Instagram, where you can see what we're all up to as well, and all these exciting developments that we've got going on at Crumbs and Doilies and Cupcake Jemma. And also make sure to head over to cupcakejemma.com because we've got some of the tools I used in the video, like the offset palette knife, which is my favorite tool, and of course the vanilla extract as well. So head over there, get yourself some treats, and when it cools down, we can get baking again. So I'm gonna switch the oven off and jump into a fridge, and I'm gonna take my cheesecake brownie with me and basically have a lovely afternoon. So we'll see you guys soon.